When we talk about, conceptually speaking anyway, when we talk about capitalism, we talk about its concentration. Concentration of whatever, of capital basically, obviously, because without concentration you cannot, you cannot um, accumulate. So capitalism, if capitalism is accumulation for the sake of accumulation, then um, concentration and unprecedented concentration of money, wealth, whatever takes the form of capital, and power, obviously, because money is power as well, and closely linked to the powers. So huge concentration is the hallmark of capitalism, especially as it develops, as it matures. And that has many consequences, but one of its consequences is that there's going to be huge disparities and inequalities, and because concentration means that when something is concentrating, it is concentrating from somewhere else. So capitalism, by its very nature, creates disparities in income and wealth and power and uneven development, and uneven geographical development, what he's talking about. Development. So that's within the meaning. And generally, especially generally you have to put limits on capital to overcome these uneven developments, or at least redress them to a certain extent. And there are many strategies for that, and this is possible firstly because capital, and those who are looking after the interests of capital, they realize that a long-term success of capitalism requires that some of those disparities and uneven developments are redressed. So that's the basic strategy and core or centers of capitalism. So other possibility is that capital is not that strong, or at least not that strong vis-a-vis all other forces. So, for example, if it's a strong national state, so there's a national capitalism. So that's the capitalism as well, but its nation is a limit on capital. So you are accumulating for nation and its strength, and not for. So that puts some limits on those sort of disparities and uneven developments, etc. So this is at the conceptual level. So how is that related to this concept of uneven? We're talking about regional value. So regional value regimes generally can be either of the toy where the interest of capital requires that some of those disparities are addressed, or capital is not that strong against certain nations or regions, so they will try to put limits on the capital, for example, so to redress or some of those disparities and what how is calling uneven geographical development. So this is at the conceptual level, but how it happens in concrete obviously develops. Obviously depends on the actually existing power configuration and the relative strength of capital vis-a-vis other forces, and also the competing capitalist strategies regarding short term and long term and all that. Okay. So Harvey also introduces a theory of